I can tell from the sweaters that this is going to be news to some of you. But spring is there, man. It's here. And it's not because of the weather, because I've been outside. Friday was awful. I mean, Friday was like the worst. The 35 degrees, the 38 degrees and raining is the worst. But that's not why spring is here. Spring is here because it's lacrosse season again. Now, for those of you who don't know, that's the game with the pole and the basket on the end, right? And you throw and you catch the ball, and the great part is you get to hit other people with your stick. That's the part I like the best. But it's lacrosse season. So I'm supposed to be playing today. I was supposed to play yesterday. Yesterday we had practice with the team I coach. Lacrosse season. The weather's starting to turn. You can smell it. If you get out there, you can smell it. You can smell the gloves, and maybe you can. The rubber balls, and you can tell that spring is here. Lacrosse has been a part of my life for 30 years. I have been playing it and then coaching it for that long. And over the past few years, something very interesting has happened, and it really hasn't happened in quite some time. I got hooked up with a team that I've been playing with for several years now. They're called the Mad Weasels. I'm not really sure why we're called the Mad Weasels. We have a logo of a weasel with a lacrosse stick, and for some reason that I haven't quite figured out, the weasel has a tattoo. I don't know why they thought that would be interesting, but the weasel has a tattoo. And we're the Mad Weasels. Now, I've been playing with these guys for, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 years now. So when we go and play a lacrosse game, we're not just running around throwing our sticks at one another and shooting balls into a net. We're talking about our lives. We're talking about our families. We're talking about what's going on. What are we doing? How are you? We're catching up. It's got a different feel to it from past years when I used to just run around and play with people I didn't know. And the team that I'm coaching, that my son Jonathan is on, it's interesting there because this is my 4th season coaching this age group. And the first season, didn't know anybody. It was all new. Second season, a couple kids came back, but not many, just a few, and none of the coaches. Last season, most of the kids came back. And we got to know each other. And so when it came time for this season, and I got the coaches together, and I said, all right, guys, we need to get together. We have a meeting. We're going to plan out the year. We went out, and we had a couple beers. And we just sat around the table, and it took 20 minutes for me to get around to the agenda because we were just enjoying one another's company. And we were just laughing and telling jokes and remembering stories of the goofy things that the kids did and the goofy things that we did and the funny moments. And it was different. It was better. There was a connection there that made it more than just running around with sticks and balls. There was a feeling of community there that I hadn't experienced before. Now, some of the things are the same, right? Some of the things that happen, I mean, you still have the kids that show up. These are 7, 8, and 9-year-olds, so you still have the kids that show up and they forgot the glove, and they're like, I signed up for that. I knew that when I was getting into it. I knew that we'd have the kids who can't put their helmet on, and we'd have the kids that know you have to go this way, you have to turn them and point them in the right direction. And we had to teach a kid how to run. That was kind of fun. No, that's not running. That's walking. Running is like this. Oh, okay. Then he started running. I signed up for all that, right? I signed up for all that, and I got the blessing and the benefit of this community that came with it. What I didn't sign up for was that I would end up going to the funeral of one of my boys' dads. That I didn't sign up for. That was not in the coach's manual. That was not in the U.S. lacrosse training that I took. Nobody prepared us for that one. But there we were. I mean, he had the flu. His son went in to wake him up. He's my age. He didn't wake up. That's it. And lacrosse is something that, for me, is a little slice of heaven, right? When I get to be with my friends, and I get to be with my guys, and I get to be outside, and we can laugh, and we can make jokes, and we can be inappropriate sometimes, that's a little slice of heaven for me. If If heaven doesn't have a lacrosse field, I'm going to have God build one. But the look on that kid's face at his dad's funeral, that was hell. You want to see what hell looks like? There'll be a picture of that kid's face. He just didn't know what to do. I mean, he's got no idea what just happened. He's sitting at this funeral, and he's just lost. He's just lost. And you know, heaven and hell are things that we think of as that we're going to deal with later. Right? That they're things that happen after we die. After I die, if I'm baptized and I believe in Jesus, I'm going to go to heaven, so I'll worry about heaven then. And if somebody's not baptized, they don't believe in Jesus, they're going to go to hell, and they'll deal with that then. We like to think of them as things that are in the future. Jesus comes in this passage, and he says that heaven is at hand. He says that it's here among us, that it can happen, that heaven breaks into our world and is part of our world. And hell is too. And I saw it that day. And we could go around the room and we could share our stories of the times that we have been there. All of us. Each and every one of us. When that boy's dad died, it was hell. But you know, a funny thing happened. Funny thing happened, which is that Jesus, who came and announced heaven and told us that heaven was here and at hand and available to you and to me and to all of us, he died and he went to hell. Literally went to hell and came back. And he came back so that hell was not the end, so that it was not something that we had to have, that we weren't stuck in it here, but so that heaven could come and break through in our lives in those moments, in those times like that little boy, when we're lost and there's pain and we don't know what to do and it feels like it's never going to end. That's what Jesus came to bring heaven into those moments. And it comes in those times, like I described, when we're together. When we are together. Jesus says, wherever 2 or 3 are gathered, I will be there. That's when heaven comes. It's when we're together in the hard times, and Jesus is there. And Jesus is there bringing it to us. And so, really, heaven becomes an option. It becomes a choice. How do we do the things we do? Do we just go out, play lacrosse, run around, throw some balls, hit some people, knock them over, laugh, go home? Or do we seek those connections and those relationships? How do we do this? How do we do church? Is church something that we do and we show up and we say our words and we put our money in the plate so that God will love us, right? And then we go home and we've done our part? Or is church a community? Is church a gathering of people who are our family? Is church a gathering where God is a part of everything we do? Do we go to fellowship after church and just eat some food? Get a full belly, go home? Or do we go and invest in one another? Get to know one another. Find out our hopes and dreams, joys and sorrows. And let God be in the midst of that as well. On a Tuesday morning, when nobody's here looking at you and watching, what do you do with your time? Do you spend it your way? Or do you spend it your way looking for God, looking for connection, looking for relationships, trying somehow in whatever circumstance you're in to bring heaven to earth by connecting with God and others? The kingdom of God is at hand. Jesus tells us that. He announces it. He dies and he rises again so that we can have access to it, so that hell doesn't win. The kingdom of God is at hand. Will you take it?